Hey there guys, it's Steve here from Coils and Coins Detecting and welcome to another video. This video is a bit different to most of the others that I've done. It is a little different in that what we're going to try and do in this one is we're going to make the Minelab Manticore, this machine here, sound like the Equinox 800. That's right, we're going to make it sound like the Equinox 800. And you might ask yourself, well, why would you want to do that? The Manticore is a new machine, it's got some great features, great tones, and that's true. But the reason why I wanted to do it, and maybe you want to do it too, is that most people I think who are going to a Manticore have probably come from an Equinox. There's a very good chance they have anyway. And so they've probably, in their mind, they've got the sounds and the tones locked in. So coming to a completely new machine with completely new tones is a little bit difficult, I think, and a nice stepping stone in the process of learning the new machine might be to change the tones so that they more closely map what we've come from in the Equinox machine. So that's what I'm going to do with this video today. Now the tones that I'm going to try to duplicate on this machine have come from some settings that I've used myself almost since day one. I'm going to throw up a link to a video in the top corner. I'll also put it down in the description below. Might be worth having a look at that video first because it shows you how I set up my tones and my tone breaks for the Equinox 800 machine. And they're the tones that I'm going to be mimicking with the setup here in this machine in the Manticore here today. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up these tones to mimic the Equinox 800 in the all-terrain general mode. Just because it's a similar mode to Park 1, I guess you could say, when you're comparing machines. First thing I'm going to do though is just factory reset. I'm going to factory reset the all-terrain general because I just want to make sure that we're starting with a clean slate. So that's been done. And now what I'm going to do is go up to the target tones, which you'll see is defaulting to 2. But what I'm going to do is increase that to 5 region all tones. So we're going to have 5 different target ID ranges, and we're going to have different tones for each of those regions there. So if we go into edit this, what we'll see is that the default setup is for target tones that increase in pitch as the target ID numbers increase. So there are 5 different band or regions of tones, but the tones and the pitch of those tones increases as we go up. What I'm going to do in my setup to duplicate the Equinox 800 is I'm going to flatten these tones out in each region so that the same pitch tone will be heard for each of these regions here. And that to me simplifies what you're hearing, and it makes it a lot more recognizable if you've come up from an Equinox 800 machine. On the left side of screen here, I'm going to bring up a couple of different tables. So the first thing I want to talk about is the tone breaks. So this is the 5 different regions here, and on the Manticore they have been preset. So you're starting at 0. The first region goes from 0 across to 10. The second region 11 across to 20. Then we've got 21 across to 60. 61 across to 90, and then 91 up to 99. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have to map that from the Equinox across to the Manticore. But the difficulty we have is that the Equinox had a target ID range of -9 to 40, and the Manticore is from 0 to 99. So this table on the left will show you roughly what their corresponding values are. So the first region on the Equinox would be -9 to 5. On the Manticore, we're going to go 0 to 10 there. Second region, 6 to 14 on the Equinox, roughly equates to 11 to 30 on the Manticore. Third region, 15 to 20 on the Equinox, that's roughly 31 to 60 on the Manticore. Fourth region, 21 to 23 on the Equinox, 61 to 75 on the Manticore, and then the last region, 24 to 40 on the Equinox, that's roughly 76 to 99 on the Manticore. Now how did I come up with those numbers? Well, basically I just waved a heap of different objects over the coils so that I could work out what corresponding values we had. Now the settings here are really biased towards Australian coins. So we've got Australian current coins and Australian pre-decimal coins. So your region might be slightly different to this, but for example, the fourth region, 21 to 23, on the Equinox, that is set so that Australian $1 and $2 coins really hit with a very definite pitch. Now on the Manticore, that range is a little bit different, 61 to 75, but we're trying to reproduce that. I think the $1 coin is around 67, 68 on the Manticore, and the $2 coin, being a smaller coin, is around 63, 64, 65, that kind of number. So we're just trying to reproduce that, that table. Now the second table we want to look at briefly here is the tones. The tones on the Equinox go from 1 to 25, but on the Manticore they go from 1 to 50. And it works out from what I've tested here that if we roughly double everything, it works out about right. So apart from 1, so 1, it maps to 1 on the Manticore, that's our iron sort of tone. 5 on the Equinox tone maps to about 10 on the Manticore, and 10 to 20, 20 to 40, and 25 to 50. That's kind of right. The tones sound about the same. There's subtle difference, but it's about as close as I can get it. Alright, so what I want to do here is just demonstrate the differences in the tones from default Manticore setup to the customised tone setup on the Equinox 800. So first of all, I've got an Australian $1 coin. This is what it sounds like on the Equinox. So it's a very sharp tone, and I really like that because it pings when you're out on the park looking for coins. It really hits hard. Now on the Manticore, it's a deeper tone. Not a bad tone, but it's not quite as high as the Equinox, which is what I really like. A $2 coin sounds the same, because on the Equinox, the 21 and 22 target IDs were set up so they sound the same. Again, a bit lower on the Manticore. 50-cent piece, which is a bigger coin, but it's a Cupro nickel coin, bigger in size. That's ringing up lower on the Manticore, and on the Equinox, a bit deeper. So I like that sound to be a little bit deeper on the Equinox. A 20-cent piece, which is slightly smaller than a 50-cent piece, rings up lower on the Manticore at about a 40, and it sounds very similar to the 50-cent piece on the Equinox. I don't have every coin. I've got a 10-cent piece here though, which again is lower, smaller, and sounds a lot lower on the Equinox, but higher on the Manticore. So I want to reproduce those tones on the Manticore. Some of the older pre-decimal coins, there's an Australian Commonwealth penny, quite an old one, rings up quite high, and higher though on the Equinox. So that has a target ID of 23 on the Equinox, so it's in the higher band, the higher pitched band. So that's where we want those pre-decimals to live. Same with that one. That sounds lower though on the Manticore. So the objective is to bring anything that sort of rings up over about 75, we want to bring the tone up so it matches the Equinox. And the $1 and $2 coins on the Equinox, they are 21 and 22. On the Manticore, they're sort of between 63 and 69. We want to bring those so they sound the same as the Equinox. So that's the process I went through. I actually went through many different target types, coins as well as relics, things like buckles, clock parts, old keys, even iron, large iron objects like that, small buttons, various bits and pieces. Another is a button here that I used as an example, a halfpenny, stainless steel ring, which rings up very low. It's a low target ID on the Equinox. It's about a 10 or 11, and on the Manticore it's a 22. So I've gone through that process with many different objects. There's a button, that's a larger button. So it's a 17, on the Equinox, 49 on the Manticore, but the tones are nothing like each other. So what I'm trying to do is bring the tones of the Manticore in line with the settings on the Equinox that I know very, very well, just so I can simplify hunting. So let's go and do that. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to edit our target tones. So we're going to go into target tones, we're going to make sure it's 5 regional tones, and we're going to go and edit that. So what we're going to do is we're going to change each line here so it's a flat line, so the pitch for that region is the same provided the target ID lies in that region. At the moment the pitch goes higher as the target ID numbers go up. So first region, we're going to edit that. We're going to drop the pitch down to 1, which is the lowest you can go to, and then we're going to go across to the right. We're going to edit that, and we're going to drop the pitch of that down to 1 as well. Now the target ID range is 0 to 10, which is correct. So that's the same as what the default is. Now we're going across to our second region, and we're going to change the pitch and the end point for this region. So at the moment it's 11 to 20. You'll see T2 end is 20. We're going to edit that, and we're going to extend that out to 30. Okay, while we're here, we'll drop the pitch down to 10. To 10, and we'll go back to the beginning of the region. We're going to edit that, and we're going to drop that pitch down to 10 as well. We're going to leave the beginning at 11, which is fine. So now you can see we've got a straight line there, so any target ID that lands in this region is going to have the same tone. All right, let's move across to the third region. And this is going to be at a pitch of 20. Whoops, let's go back here. So we're going to have a pitch of 30. So that's actually pitch of 20, beg your pardon. So we're going to drop that to 20, and we'll go across. Whoops, wrong buttons. You've got to watch you don't do that. We're going from 31 to 60, so that's right. Now we're going to move across to the end. We're going to edit that. It's already on 60 as the end point of the target ID range. All we need to do is drop the pitch down to 20. Okay, so now we've got our third region set up. Move across to our fourth region. And the fourth region, we're going to edit that, and we're going to make actually going to go up with the pitch here and make it 40. This is that higher pitch for the coins, for the $1 and $2 coins. And we're going to go from 61, so that's right. Then we're going to move across to the end of the region there. We're going to edit that. And we are going to leave it at 40, which it's at. And we're going to reduce, though, the target ID down to 75. So that's our $1 and $2 coin range in there. So that's our simulating what we did on the Equinox. And then the final region goes from 76 all the way to 99. We're going to edit that, and we're going to change the pitch to a much higher pitch of 50. This is our pre-decimal coin range. Okay, we're going to OK that, and then move across. We're going to edit and move our pitch here to up to 50 as well, which is the top pitch. It's the highest pitch that we have. And that's the setup done. Now that's given you the range from, well, the 3 different regions have got a flat line in each one now, and they simulate the same Equinox tones that we had before with our tone breaks. So instead of the pitch going up as the target ID goes up, we've got the same pitch in those bands. So that's the setting that I like to use to begin with. I think that works really well. The other thing we should probably do is change the volume of these as well, so that the $1 and $2 coins really stand out. The pre-decimal stuff stands out quite well. Silver, that kind of stuff really hits hard. And the lower tones sound lower, so and they're not quite as loud. So we'll go and adjust the volume now, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so to adjust the volume for these different regions, all we need to do is, again, move across, but we want to highlight the line in between the dots this time, and you'll see up here it's got T1 volume. So we're going to edit those volumes. Whoops, did it again. Let's go back in there, go across to the line and edit. Now you'll see it pops up here in red what the volume's set to. We're going to drop the volume down on this first band. Now again, it depends what you're hunting for as to whether or not this is something you want to do, but I want to make the lower stuff sound quieter. Okay, so that's T1. Now the second band, we'll move across to the line, so it's showing us the volume, which is set to 25. This second band I'm going to make 15, so it's not quite as low as the previous one, but not as high as the maximum. Lock that in, move across now to the third region. We're going to edit the volume on that one and make it 15 as well. So it's not as loud as the stuff we're really looking for. Now we're going to move across to the fourth region. We're going to leave that at the loudest, 25. That's again our $1 and $2 coins. Okay, and the last region, we're just going to knock that down a fraction to 20. Whoops. Press the right button. There we go. So now it's 20. Not quite as loud as maximum, but certainly loud enough to really hear. Okay, so that's our setup done. Now, if I show you or compare the tones of the Equinox to the Manticore, you'll see that they're now very similar. I'll just set that up and I'll come back and show you. All right, so the first comparison is the $1 and $2 coins in Australia, which were ringing up quite loud and pinging. That's the Equinox. And that's the Manticore. They sound the same now, right? Before they did not sound the same, they sounded quite different, and to the trained ear on the Equinox, they just didn't sound quite right on the Manticore. I mean, you'd get used to it over time, but I just wanted them to sound the same because I already tuned my ears to that tone. $2 coin. Sound the same, right? Perfect. 50-cent piece, which is a 17 on the Equinox. It's about a 47 on the Manticore. Very close. The tones aren't identical, but they're very close. You couldn't quite get them identical, so we did our best there. The 20-cent piece, that's a 16 and a 40. Sounds the same. Now the 10-cent piece is lower. It's the next tone down on the Equinox. Rings up at a 13. That one's a little different, but similar. It's hard to get them the same. That tone there for the 10-cent piece, which is the bottom range, the second last range, second lowest region, we could actually drop that down by one tone, down to 9 probably, to get that closer. But the pre-decimals sound the same. Anything over 23, so 24 and up, which is your large pennies. 28, they ring up the same. They sound very, very high. Your Commonwealth pennies, 23, they sound like the $1 and $2 coins. Half penny, Australian kangaroo half penny's about a 25 or so, depending on the year. Sounds very similar. Our relics, our coin, our big key, that's a 22. Sounds the same on the Manticore now. Our button, big button, 17. Sounds the same. Small button, 21. Sounds the same. Buckle, sounds the same. That's the stainless steel ring. Rings up about 11. That's the tone that's slightly different. Only slightly. Only because they don't quite line up, but it's quite close. That's another 17. That's another relic. So now we've got the two machines sounding pretty much the same with comparable target ID numbers on similar objects. So we've got them about the same sound. It helps with our picking up our targets and working out what we've got and whether or not we're going to dig it. So that's how to set those up. Alright, so by doing this, I believe I'm making the Manticore a little bit easier to use when I'm coming up from an Equinox 800 machine. And my assumption is a lot of people who have bought the Manticore have come from an Equinox. I know not everybody has, but I think there is probably 70 or 80% of us have. I'm certainly one of them, and I've messed around with this machine a little bit, and now I've got the tones how I like them. If nothing else, at least it'll give you the confidence to go and change those tones for those different regions and mess around with those settings to suit what you want to do. Different countries I know have different target IDs, have different types of targets. I mean, here in Australia where I am, I'm not searching for Roman coins. I'm not searching for you know, old, really old relics, Roman relics, or you know, stuff like that. My searching is different to somebody in the UK, some different in the US, different in Europe probably as well. So you've got to adjust it for your region. But if you do that, you'll be able to tune it to your ear and make it work for you the way you want it to work. So hopefully that's useful, and hopefully that gives you the confidence to go and mess around with the settings a bit and change them to your liking. So I'm hoping you guys found that video useful. If you did, please give us a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already, or at least consider doing that for us. This helps the channel grow. And if you have a comment or would like me to do some other kind of video related to this or to something else on the Manticore or the Equinox, please let me know, and I'll do my best to accommodate you on that, because it's always good to learn more, and I'm always learning myself, so it works both ways. Okay, thanks guys, all the best out there, happy hunting, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.